Going live. Okay. You can hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The idea is to actually sort of understand what's happening, what's going on behind, so we can appreciate as to what is possible. Okay. Otherwise, everything turns out to be magic. So that is not what we actually sort of want. It's not magic. We understood that, well, AI is building the large language model, and that is at the base. 1 minute, I'll close the door and then. Yeah. So large language model is at the base, and then it is taking in the input, all that is there out in the internet. And not only internet, many of these mobile companies are sucking off the data from your mobile phones, all the pictures that you have snapped, everything they are taking off over there, all the text, the mails that you have sent, but not, of course, associated with the name, but all the data is going there to make language model happen. Google, Gmail, they're all doing that. And this is how it is kind of working to make it convincing. Okay, that's what it's all about. Okay, now we saw that, well, it has as many dimensions as 12,000 plus, which is something that we just cannot imagine, but that's how it is. It's a vector database. It is not a textual database, but what is stored in the vector database is all the calculations that have actually sort of gone about, all the iterations, about the attention, about the associations, about the weights, the biases, the mistakes, everything is there as a variable that is used in retrieving and correcting the information that is coming. When you retrieve that, well, Bangalore is the capital of Karnataka, there is no database that is telling that, well, Bangalore, associating Bangalore and Karnataka or anything like that. It is only a high probability that you are, of course, retrieving. There is, because the vector database connects Karnataka, capital, and Bangalore together. So that is what is happening here. Okay. So beyond that, let's just quickly go through the remaining information that I have for this, and then get on with the infopreneur, which is the next one. Okay. So the data is stored in a multi-dimensional manner like this. This is also a simple, the kind of, what is that representation? It is now understood that, well, information like king and the queen come together in a sigmoid function. In a certain angle, they fall together, like man and woman come together. So that is how the probable retrieval happens. So this is how Paris, France come together, Bangalore, Karnataka come together, capital come together. So the retrieval happens because of connections like this, not like the conventional database that we have in the catalog or in our library applications and things like that, opaque and things like that. So this is what is there in the background. Okay. So you see, the database, the vector database is just the number and associating with the token that we have seen, and it embeds the meaning, various shades of meaning. And when it actually sort of comes to what is next word, we get all the information, including the next probable punctuation, because that's what it has taken. Fine. So where is the knowledge? The knowledge is in the training data. All the calculations it has done, billions of numerical parameters, all the trained LLM. So all that we have seen from going from one end to another calculations with the bias and with the weights and the sequence number and all that, that is where the knowledge is, information is. And then that connects to LLM, large language models. So in association one with the other, the retrieval happens. So when you input a query, okay, when you input a query into ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever the query that you are putting in has to convert into tokens, okay, and then go through this iteration, the meaning comes out of that. And beyond that, it has to, of course, go and look in this vector database, match it with the large language model, and get the highest probable first word, next words, and things like that. And the limit that is there set by these artificial, companies like Gemini and Google and Open AI, the answer comes in the same format. The retrieval format is prefixed, and the retrieval happens because of this large language models, and behind that is the vector database. So we have to just understand that knowledge per se is not anywhere. There's a training data, there's neural network training, millions and billions and trillions of parameter updates. They are all there. And then parameters are there, attention scores, everything. And many layers that are that we saw in dimensions, 12,000 plus dimensions. They're all put together to make the retrieval happen. So this is unlike whatever that we have seen. So vector is just the numbers, and the metadata relating to that is part of it. Okay, part of it, it could be stored right there, and it could be connected in any other way. And numbers make it easy for it to bring out the output. Why? Because here in this case, what is India's capital? It is now shown as the number. What is India's capital is the query that you have put in. It is shown as a number, and the very close numbers for that is what we have retrieved. That could be associated with the capital of India is New Delhi. So these numbers match, and that's what it is. There is no capital of India stored somewhere and things like that. So that is what is happening. So it goes with what it has learned, and what it has learned token by token is stored in the vector database, and that's converted as this one was numbers. The numbers, when we query, whatever terms that we use has to convert into these tokens and the numbers match together. If they are close, as you see now on the screen, that is what is retrieved as the answer. Okay, so there is a query vector, nearest vectors it would find, retrieve the original text. Okay, in this case, it is Paris is the capital. It takes it to the large language model, generates the token probabilities. That is, we saw highest probable, the list. And it could be first is the capital of France is Paris. And it formulates into a text string like that. And it uses the attention, okay, in the context, and other things are actually sort of relevance is also calculated, looked into in the LLM, and then ultimately the retrieval, the capital of France is Paris comes out. It could come in any other format also. It is not that, well, it has to come in the same way. But then the information, because of the statistical distribution of gradient descent, helps it do that. That's what it is all about. Okay. We have during retrieval, LLM uses the trained data to generate answers to queries. During training, well, it has a language pattern, which has syntax, grammar, semantics, etc., etc. That's the attention. Contextual relationship, knowledge embedding, what is facts, what is concepts, what is general information. These are all the attentions that is actually sort of built into the calculations. Okay. And then when the LLM receives a query, it again, as I told you, tokenizes, it understands the context, and then that is how it actually sort of understands, takes it to the vector database, predicts an outcome. Basically, all these things are happening all because of neural network calculations. And some of the mathematics involved for these neural network calculations are not very high end. They are low end only. But what has actually sort of made this AI possible is the computing power. The computing power was not there earlier. Today it is available, and that has actually sort of made this one, AI possible. So where all it actually sort of takes is something that we need to, of course, see. The limitations is they do not access external database, okay, or real-time information. If it's just LLM, real-time information is not accessed. But today, when you type in your query in ChatGPT or Gemini and things like that, it is not querying the large language model. It is using for the retrieval a set that is the Google database at the back end, retrieves a set of website related information, converts it into this one, what is it, tokens, takes it to the LLM, and then brings and gives you the answer. But if it is an agent, okay, then what happens is agent, that is again, it's a software that is written. It has the facility to monitor many things and take it in various stages. It can ask for your password. It, if it's booking a ticket, it would take it one step further. It would actually sort of show you the bank, window, ask you to actually interact with that, and then ultimately gets you a ticket. So just like today's chat GPT, for instance, you query once and then you improve on that. You say, no, not this. I want something like this. Then ChatGPT remembers your old query and then modifies it, brings out as a sequence. It is, of course, doing the fresh search and retrieval, but then it is keeping in mind the previous interaction that you had. That is what the agents would do. Okay. So all these things are happening in the backend. That means enormous computing power. That is why you need a lot of cooling for these data centers. And that itself is a huge thing that, environment and other problems would actually sort of come about that. Okay. So just to actually sort of give you one or two more facts. Many of the today's engines, GPT-5, Claude, Gemini of today, they are not disclosing their architecture. They are not disclosing the total parameters. They are not disclosing the active parameters. It's only the old, DeepSeek or Llama, which is not necessarily current. They are the ones who have retrieved how much of data, how much of iteration and things like that. Okay. And now agent, as I mentioned, agent that we use even when we query today, it queries the LLM, but it has its own learning, conversion, memory, and planning and reasoning, because there are also, just like large language models, there are also large reasoning models where the data is trained to reason in a certain way. Reasoning could be mathematical, it could be anything specific, it could be mathematical, physics related kind of a reasoning, or any other, discipline specific reasoning. Data is trained, it is, normalized to think like a physicists do, or a chemist do, or biochemists do, and things like that. So those are the specialized things that are actually sort of coming about these days. And agents also, there are different kind of agents, that is again software which interface with the LLM and with the clients. So I am there, I have to use the agents. It may mean I have to give access to my passwords. It may, like my calendar and things like that. Making use of that, it retrieves the information or it does the action. So this is what is actually sort of coming about now. So also the images have a different way of actually sort of learning and retrieving. They learn the pixels that is there in an image. Again, just like the tokens that we saw, word token or the pixel token, it adds noise and reverses the noise and understands what is what and things like that. Okay, and that's how they can actually sort of make out whether it's a cat or a dog or anything, for instance, a ballast or something like that. So also with the music also learns the waveform of everything that is there, and then learns certain musical styles are associated with certain musicians. So in the vector database, they come together, and if I want my lyrics to be sung like that, they bring them all together and then make it possible. So this is what is happening in the background. So the myths about to end it all, AI searches a database for the answer. It's a myth. AI is not searching a database for the answer. AI is looking at the vector database, which are just numbers, and then it's matching with the LLM and reconstructing the highest probable next word. AI understands words the way humans do? No, AI does not understand. It's just the numbers. If AI sound confident, it probably knows. No, AI doesn't know anything. It is only numbers. Essentially, it has learned from the text that we have built in, and we are retrieving it using all the mechanisms that I mentioned. So given this, it is, computations required are enormous. If it is video and things like that, if it's text, it is slightly better. But agents, that is the interfacing programs, computer programs, which is making it slightly more palatable to people like us, common people, general people. Otherwise, if we were to query the LLM directly, we would have got old information. Today, we get the up-to-date information because at the first step, they query the internet, take the information from there, and take the data onto the these language models, large language models, get the retrieval from there. So that's what is happening. Okay, did I make sense?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Mhm.
We'll take on to the next this one because I had to finish that also. Any questions that you have, you're welcome, of course, to.
So AI generates that number, understand that number. That is not a digit 0 and 1 or
No, no,
normal
no, no.
numbers.
That is not 0 and 1.
Yeah.
AI 0 and 1 are the basic binary numbers to store information. Okay. The numbers that it is generating are the vector numbers. When you take in the what is that words which are converted as this one tokens. Tokens have a sequence number. It has a bias. That's the in terms of how it is coming and things like that. It has a weight. So different words have different weights. Like a preposition in English would have a lesser kind of a weight than the anything that is weighty. Okay, in the words. So these are devised. This is in the architecture of building the database. Okay, based on that, the calculation happens, and iteration, that is repetition, would be millions and billions of time for correcting. So at the end, all these numbers, which are in a way looking, standing for the words, would be in the gradient descent. Also, New Delhi or Bangalore, Mysore, it is not only once that is indexed. It is every time Mysore comes in a text, it has a different number. It doesn't have the same number because that is how it is. So many times Mysore comes along with Bangalore, for instance. So we can say when the query comes, where is Mysore? Mysore is closer to Bangalore. That could be one of the retrieval, because probability turns out to be higher if you have, of course, absorbed everything and then converted all these numbers into Mysore as another number in the that 1,000-dimension vector space. That is how it is. So it is not 0, 1. 0, 1 is how any data is stored, but these numbers are completely different.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. How many of you are teachers here?
This is Selvaraj, Faculty of Library Science.
Okay, you're a teacher, is it? The library science teacher.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so most of you are all librarians. Otherwise,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
yeah, I have a. See, I did not teach library science. I taught everything else, I must say. I did not research so much of library science. What has happened with the internet? Why? What has happened with automation and the internet and now artificial intelligence? Well, for the librarians, it is obvious. We don't have as many readers in the library. Is it true?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, at least the one is agreeing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So increasingly, we are divide of the users, and many times we may have, of course, spent money and got the books, but we don't have the readers, and we had, of course, sit there doing nothing in a way. That is the challenge, today's challenge, because of internet, because of AI, and user preferences. Naturally, they prefer what is convenient and what's available. Now, what do we do? Given this problem, there's a solution required. And entrepreneurship is a solution not only for working librarians, even for the students who have to actually who are studying now. In fact, I must tell you, I myself, when I was working with Administrative Staff College of India and things like that, I had time, I had interest, so I could bid for the projects, get lakhs of rupees for the project. That means hard work. Other than the library work, I had to, of course, do the project related work, get all the data, write reports, defend it and whatnot for the money, not necessarily for the love of it. Love of it also was there, but for the money. Money is not for me, money is for the institution. I know, at least in Hyderabad, a Hyderabad University librarian named Ram Reddy, Dr. Ram Reddy, he would ask his staff to automate other libraries for money as a consultancy. Okay. So that is what we are coming to. Students today can actually sort of take on work as consultants, as infopreneurs, entrepreneurs. Today, everybody's, talk is about startups and things like that. Information related startups are possible. And that is what we have to do. Even sitting in the library, if they are otherwise unoccupied, we can actually sort of get into that. And that means money. Money could be shared with your institution, but understanding that possibility is infopreneurship. Okay, so let's actually sort of get on with this presentation. So what are the library functions? Library functions are selection, acquisition, classification, and dissemination. All these have been taken over by others. Okay, selection. We select the books. How many of AICTE institutions or the universities? You got some professor coming and selecting the book for you. Some committee doing that work. Okay, acquisition. In fact, selection, even database vendors are selecting and including what you need, and you don't have any discretion there at all. Acquisition, like that also is done elsewhere. You're not actually acquiring the information per se yourself. You're not classifying when it's in a large database, EBSCO, ABI Inform, whatever this, that, and things like that. Classification also, like not library, decimal classification, but otherwise classification, giving keywords, that this everything is being done by others, and retrieval is done by others. In fact, I was telling in one context, retrieval done by the publishers directly to the end users without library as an interface. Whole library is sold for $10 for one semester to students. So they would rather subscribe to that, that's digital, and use it and pass the examination rather than coming to the library. So essentially, all our functions are taken over by others. It has to, of course, alarm us. Okay. Internet has changed the paradigm of information that we know. All the information is out there, but we did not, we don't have it, and we have to access it just like the users access it. Librarians earlier had information in the form of books and journals in their premises, but now it's all there. We have as much access to that as they have access to that. Okay, increasingly, most of the information products are digitized. Video data, text data is there, audio data is there, digitized, available on the internet. Okay, libraries are often confined to dealing with the hard copy or sometimes the digitized version. We have digital library means digitized version of the books and the journals and things like that. We don't have anything other than that. Okay. We have, of course, book circulation and reference service for the ones who come and ask for. That is still part of it. Okay. Power dynamics. See, any profession, we need to control something. Otherwise, nobody respects. Okay, if the doctor has information, the knowledge about diseases and the cure, he controls. Engineer knows something, everybody for that matter, there is. Teacher knows, and then he control students because of his
Not
knowledge.
hearing, ma'am.
Hello? Yeah, teacher, well, because he has access to the students who have to listen to him and things like that, him or her and things like that. So what's happened? We had a control about the users earlier, not any longer. Before the internet, we had the control. Information was squares, and then they would come and then try to locate that in the library or request that be lent out and things like that. You had, so now tools have been democratized. Everybody has almost same access. So information monopoly is not there, and the institutional authority has also been lost. Users frequently enter the library now with better understanding of the specialized, they would know how to interact and retrieve information from the internet or AI tools better than we do. Okay, so this is something that change that has actually sort of come about beyond this one. This one, what is that? Beyond the internet era. So social influence has flattened. We don't have any influence on them. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Greater autonomy and agency of the user. Users have greater autonomy. They may or may not select us. User obtain greater autonomy, shift the staff. Okay. So this is what has happened. Given this, what we can do. So the power dynamics earlier, user was before the internet dependent petitioner, but after the internet, he's autonomous. He is independent. If he wants, he comes. He is not dependent on us, but then he gets the information. Staff authority base, physical location collection and proprietary catalog. We had the ownership. Catalog was with us. We had the control. Now, search strategies, digital literacy, and information evaluation, they've all gone equally. So he has, that user has as much freedom or access as we have. User intent, finding specific facts, definitions, and physical citations were what they were looking for earlier. That is why they would come to the library. Now, they don't actually necessarily come for that in. Okay, but then we can still say, well, this is not okay, this source is not okay, that kind of a thing. We have some hold, but he is not, user is not coming for that. Interaction length. Earlier, there used to be queue in the circulation counter and things that people would actually queue up, look for reservation for the books, that is everything. Now, interaction possibilities long because there are not really as many users who are coming, and also they don't want small things. They want real, assessment from you. So it is consultative and it is long. Earlier, information was scarce because it was not available everywhere. Now, information overload is there, so they can actually access internet, AI engines, everything from around, anywhere they want. They don't need our permission. So interaction was high earlier, but now it has turned out to be low. In essence, automation and the internet change the power dynamics. We are not as powerful. That is why even otherwise, librarian, because I too was a librarian, I can tell you, the social, what is that, social hierarchy of librarian as a profession is not high, whether it is India or US or anywhere for that matter. Now, that is the reality. We can't really say anything. We can say Ranganathan, that this, everything that's for us outside, they don't listen to us. So library, internet introduced new social stratification. So there is a digital divide. Internet introduced it. We didn't do that. And we have taken up that role. Internet decentralized the library, allowing them to access the resources from home. We provided that. And they are using it at home and they are not really sort of consulting us at all. The librarians serve as high-level research consultants if we have the capability, and tech literate users and social workers and tutors. So what's happened is we are taking up the role of a social worker, which was not the intent. Okay. And who needs social work in the society? In the society, it is not who is otherwise powerful. Who is not powerful is who wants help. Even in the technology world, the ones who can actually sort of learn, they would know it better already. They would not come for help. The ones who are laggards, who cannot really learn the technology, deal with the technology, deal with this and that and things like that, who come for. So we are catering to the lower end of the people in the social setup, in the socio-economic dynamics. So our influence, we may have influence, but then if that influence is at the lower end of the social structure, nobody, it's not appealing. That's what is happening. It is not appealing. We cannot influence. See, knowing, for instance, chief minister and knowing somebody in Vidhan Sauda, there is a difference. That if we know the chief minister, we can influence. Our chief minister depends on us. We can influence, get things done, and the importance is there. If you know somebody in Vidhan Sauda, the same importance is not there. So that is what has happened over time because of the internet, because of AI and things like that for the library as a profession. Okay. So librarians have, why this happens, because it's also fault from our side. We have not mastered the information. We have mastered the sources, but we have to master the information as such. And we have not mastered the users. Users, we must be able to measure up the users. Whom do we have to cater to? Not everybody who comes, I don't know how to operate. No, your social influence is not great if you're confined to that. It's not that when they are not important, they are less important, something like that. But if we are catering to that strata, our relative power in the society is not as much. So that is what's happened because of the change, the paradigm shift in the uh, information world, mainly because of the internet and AI now and things like that. Now we know all these 5 laws of library science. Teachers, please tell me if you find any problem in these 5 laws. We have deified, that is, we have made Ranganathan and all that he has written, Ranganathan, the god of library science. All that he has written is not to be discussed at all, not to be questioned. That has become a problem. In fact, I would say, save the time of the reader. Why should we save the time of the reader? This is a question that we have to ask. Would the doctor, as a professional, would he care save the time of the what is that patient? No, he is not really there. No, patient would come with the problem, and doctor is not hurrying. Any profession for that matter, they cater to the demands that come the other way, and that is how it is. We are not going normalizing everybody as, oh, they are the ones we need to serve. Anyway, even with that, innovation is not ruled out in these 5 laws of entrepreneurial approach is not ruled out in, even if we follow the 5 laws of library science. Okay. But I told a while back that we have not mastered information. What does it mean? We have to just understand the difference between the way we understand information and the way the rest of the world, the philosophers and others understand information. For us, the information is primary, secondary, and tertiary sources and things like that. But rest of the world do not necessarily understand information like that. They understand information in slightly different way. Some of these things would overlap, of course. Factual information is there. It could be primary. Well, semantic information is there, of course, which is what is knowledge, otherwise written in language or something like that. Data is there, which could be structured and it's numbers. But there are other things like, of course, we also talk in terms of the metadata that connects to the source and all that. But there are other things like environmental information. Okay, there are secondary information which is viewed differently by philosophers. So there is information, absence of something, what we can derive out of that derivative information. Like, I am anemic, my blood says certain data, And based on that, I can derive that I am anemic. There is an indicator on the computer, which, when it actually sort of comes, the light shows red, that I know that, well, there is some problem. It's connected to the internet, it's not connected to the internet. Some kind of information it is giving, that we are deriving out of that. Nature has its own information, which is not really revealed. Trees have tree rings. So that shows built within is the information that is there telling what's the age of a tree. Okay, that is not recorded by somebody. We have in our physical self a lot of information, heartbeats, if it is more, if it is less, all that we can actually derive whether we have higher blood pressure, lower blood pressure, something is happening. So information is all that, but we have not dealt with information like that. That is what we have to understand. We have predefined the information to have something that is written down, that is come through a screening, published, and some unpublished things also are there, but we have defined and then we have confined our operations for that. But still we call ourselves information science, information scientists and whatnot. But you see the opportunity that is lost because we have narrowed our definition. And infopreneur would expand that scope and exploit for the business or occupational purposes. That is what entrepreneurship is all about. Okay. So what I showed you here defined as to what is, primary data, secondary data, and things like that. Okay. If you want, you can look at it. There is economic information, mathematical information. Mathematical information, of course, it's printed, it has come as book, but it is something different altogether for a mathematician. It is not what is written or printed. Conceptually, it has more things to actually sort of do for a mathematician. Okay. So we have to appreciate information like that. Now, even information ethics, plagiarism, we are all gung-ho about plagiarism these days, is what is happening on the AI when it is taking up all that is there in the digital form on the internet and using it for building language models and what other models. Is it plagiarizing? Is it, it's taking the information, but is it using it in the same way that somebody who copies uses it? No, it is recreating. So a lot of redefinition is due. We have to understand all these kind of things. Okay, so that is understanding information per se, as the rest of the world also does it. When we do that, our perspective, our point of view would changes. So what have we done as a library products? Repackaging, abstract, index, digest, all that kind of thing. Facilitation, we conduct library tours. We, we familiarize them with the database, use instructions, give them instruction, we conduct, reference service, referral service, information discoveries. We have automated the library, we have digitized it, and we have also information quality evaluation. Sometimes we do that, mostly we do not. And some other, these are the products and the services that we have. Okay. I was actually sort of looking some time back as to what information product in CDC as it is defined by the United Nations. What are the information product? So library and archive services are the only thing. But then under the library archive services, you see quite a bit. Now, this is what we know, familiar with. There are quite a bit that are there under the same heading. That's called information services or information products, which we have nothing to do with. Motion picture, telecom, wireless communication, so many things, publishing, all these are information products. We have very less to do with radio broadcasting, logging, everything. So we have to somehow expand our scope of operation. If you had to be infopreneurs to all these, when others took over our functions, when publishers took over our functions and then reached out to the users directly, he did not take our permission. So we don't really need anybody's permission. We know information, stories as good as a journalist would do. But then why do we actually sort of not function as a journalist ourselves? That's a question that we have to ask. Okay. So realities of the LIS profession today is libraries are driven to the wall. User attendance is depletion, accreditation agencies, even AICT, UGC, they want faculty to run our show. They have to be there on the selection committee and the library committee and things like that. The librarians have lost control of the resources and pride in resource building. So because somebody else is suggesting what you have to buy, and what is your pride there? Okay. So we need to really rethink in terms of being, particularly in the context of AI, because what it is actually overcoming, to become an infopreneur. So an infopreneur is a person who gathers, organizes, and disseminates information as a value-added service. It may or may not be monetary, but then it's a value-added service. Okay, entrepreneurship is an enterprise which engages in such an end. In fact, this is required in the library, library departments for teaching. You need to teach your new students about entrepreneurship, how to become an entrepreneur, not, depend on a librarian for a job. You can be independent and then earn your living. How is what is this one? An infopreneur is an entrepreneur. He operates independently. With arrival of generative AI that we saw right now, the internet era of business models of entrepreneurship has changed. They're dying. AI can generate generic content instantly. That's what we've seen. AI creates a massive premium for high fidelity, verified structured data and ethical curation. It can give you today, a PhD student with Gini and other databases that I see, you don't have to conduct literature survey. Literature survey with all citations and things like that on a topic that you prescribe comes out as an output from database like that. So high fidelity verified structured information is coming out. Librarians can leverage. So here is a situation when the academic world is challenged. AI is challenging the teaching world, research world, and things like that. Mathematicians are now wondering what is there left, because AI is generating not necessarily the proofs, but new ideas in terms of solving old problems, which the field medalists have not been able to so far. So quite a bit is happening because of AI, with all its problems and whatnot. So here is an opportunity for the librarians to leverage AI. That is what entrepreneurship is all about. You have to leverage the AI. So why become an entrepreneur? You can add value to the world by sharing your passion for wisdom, generate income. You can work from home, and it's the lowest startup cost because you are not investing anything. And technology is in the right place. It is challenged. So the learning curve to master information in the AI era is same for every one of us. It is same for the academic, it's same for technologists, and same for us. So we have to make use of that. That is what it is. So what is an information product? An information product is, it could be digital, it need not be, where data is structured in a specific format to instruct, educate, and guide the client, whoever who wants it. It could be user, it could be a student, it could be a teacher, or it could be a businessman. or a policymaker in order to meet the predefined purpose. So it could be in audio, written, video, whatever the format it is. And to narrow the further, great information product is one that provides processes and tools for the customer to address a struggle. A customer has some problem and you're solving it, basically. Global market share, money that is there in the information product is something like $300 billion. That's the global thing. Are we making any use of that? No, because we just don't know. For instance, I have seen a science writer who writes in a Hindu newspaper week after week. He takes a nature article and then he condenses that and writes it in a, he explains it as for the general public. Can't we do that? Somebody in print, for instance, print, that's a video news agency, reports about science, latest in science, through speaking. We have been doing that in writing digests, writing abstracts, writing this and that and things like that, looking at the same journals. But now those people are the video journalists and whatnot and make money. Can't we do that? Can't the new, this one, and you don't have to do that. You can get it done. That's also part of the entrepreneurship. Okay. Product conceptualization in the libraries at present is service to facilitate the use, source control and budget control. I would say, I can't buy this database. I mean, that is the kind of product control that we have. Or we circulate books. We, save the time of the reader. Why should I save the time of the reader? It's a question that we should ask. What do I get out of that? If you go to a museum, for instance, which is also if you go to this one, whatever the other, FMCG shop, nobody's asking you to hurry over. You're not really saving anybody's time. You have to engage them, keep them, make the best of their presence. It's not actually sort of come and, I'll give you the information, you run away. No, I want you to engage, pay for that. That is in terms of the time, opportunity cost and things like that. Okay. AI is bound to further reduce the footfall. It is if there is some attendance in the library now with AI, even that PhD students also would not come because they would generate the data and whatnot, literature survey sitting home. The power dynamics would adversely affect the LIS profession. What it means is, when people do not come to the library, everybody notices that. Why do you need so much of staff? Why do you need budget? These are the questions that would actually come about. Okay. So we have to actually understand that. Strategic shift of LIS professional toward infopreneurship is leverage potential of AI. Improve the power dynamics vis-a-vis information user. Take control of main ingredient, that is the information. Don't worry about the books or this and information. Understand the market and master the customer. What is mastering the customer? Have we differentiated as the management, marketing people differentiate the customers? Marketing people have a very minute classification of the potential customers. Who is the customer? Who is an aspirant, young aspirant, what the generation, what is this? There is a category classification. We have to actually do that. And we have to cater to somebody who is otherwise a dud in a different way than somebody who is smart. We don't do that. For everybody, save the time of the user, everybody same. So that is not the way a management person would think. That differentiation has to come. Okay. So how do we transit from librarian to infopreneur? Okay. Catalog and classification, you've got data curation and tagging for the AI. In fact, we can always do that because a lot of tagging and this one is required for the AI systems. Even now it happens. Even from Mysore, it happens. There is an organization which all that they do is to identify, they're called software engineers. All that they do is tag a car as a car, or a tree as a tree, and something else as something else on for equipping certain car companies. That's what they do. Okay, you can literature review, you can augment and synthesize and convert the literature review into competitive intelligence. I'll show you what it is. Okay, collection development into niche, archiving, reference service into prompt engineering, which is not their prompt engineering, but then always something that is there. AI, I spoke about the AI, you heard it, you have used it. Do we know as to how big an input file could be? You're asking AI, ChatGPT and Gemini for a certain question. How big that file could be? Even when we are searching Google, how many keywords we could have used? In fact, in AI, it could be as big as 1,28,000, whatever, it could be very huge tokens is what they say. It's a very huge, we don't know, we have not explored, but other people also do not know. We have to capitalize on that, not by telling other people, oh, this is the way, or something. That is giving away the secret. You know it, that is your niche. Use it to, tell people. Nobody is telling, if you go to an entrepreneur, he is not telling how he is going to make this tool. He would say, okay, you want to buy the tool? I would do that and give it to you. This is how much it costs. That is the kind of a change that we require today, because otherwise we are losing social influence and the power dynamics. Okay. This is this one. Okay. We have all these things that I mentioned, data curation, everything are the low hanging fruits. We have exploited it. Money is not here. Money is elsewhere. Money is in competitive intelligence. Providing competitive intelligence. Who needs competitive intelligence? Everybody needs competitive intelligence. We don't have to actually go to a businessman to do that. In fact, if you're working in a college or an institution, they need the administration over there, your boss over there needs competitive intelligence. Why is that? What is that competitive intelligence? Information that has been to the point based on which the decision could be made. It's a way of thinking. Okay. It is required for making a decision in your college, for instance. How? I'll show you what. You want to give the advance warning of the risks and opportunities that are coming to a college person, a principal or a director, or something like that. Strategic planning option. And all these things, information is there. Okay. What are the sources? They are available in the public domain. They are available through intelligent inference. See, as I told you, a database has data, but a lot of inferences that we can draw from that. That is what is, derivative data. And I look at my, BP, doctor checks my BP and says that, there is some problem. He is looking at my information. So also you can look at other information in the public domain and infer quite a bit. You don't have to wait for some other expert to do that. But use that. We have to understand the information supply chain. We have understood library. We have books and journals and things like that. But library is very small portion when it comes to information. Information is out there. The entire service sector is information. Entire, even agriculture, you need information at different layers. Marketing, management, they all need information. They need sometimes the primary information. For instance, I tell you, when I was working in a library, a PhD student from Hyderabad University came and he was talking, he is providing primary information on voter data, caste-wise voter data. And I asked him, what's this turnover? It was in crores, and then his share would come something like 35, 40 lakhs at 10 years back. He is providing information only, nothing more. He's organized and providing primary information about voter preference. That's all. Here we are thinking, somebody has done the survey, please take it, sir, take a look, help yourself, kind of a thing. What is stopping us from collecting primary information, not out there in the field, but the people who come to the library? About what? Not necessarily voter information or the voting preferences. You can collect information about their product preferences. What is that they like in a product? What is the things like that? There is no end to what you can actually sort of do over there. Okay. Comparative cost metrics or administrative service in an education. When you are working in an education system, student recruitment costs 2 to 10,000 rupees. Faculty hiring costs 50 to 2.5 lakhs. So there is money involved in running, and this money is based on information. And we are not exploiting that. How do I exploit that? You see a website. Well, somebody who's, for instance, you are in Bangalore and you see somebody competent in the same field of specialization in Delhi who might want to come to Bangalore, because you can actually sort of see through the website his specialization, where he has studied and things like that. And he has got higher citation, higher this, higher that, you can make out all that. Bring that information on to your directors. So there is a connect that is established. That's the information, that's the competitive information that you are providing. Such competitive information are plenty, many of them. You can, from the academic research institution, funding data. Who is getting what fund? From where? What kind of projects are there? What kind of advertisement is done? So your competitor is trying to hire this or master this kind of a specialization. All the age profile, your age, somebody is retiring in your institution and you need to maintain that competition. Somebody who is younger, who is there? Where is that person? One is to advertise, another thing is to look for that and locate and then make it available. All that information you can provide if you pitch for that. What's your alumni strength? What is for instance, you need the rating of your institution go higher in the AICTE ranking, that ranking, this ranking. What alumni? How would you cater to alumni? All these things, how are others doing that? So that kind of information you can actually sort of bring it, operate it sometimes, or bring it to the knowledge. All that is possible. Okay, AI, you have courses offered elsewhere. How they are offering it? Who is teaching? What's their publication output? Well, all these are the information. When you collect it, you can make a decision maker impressed. And those are the things that are required, not random hiring or random this and that and things like that. It is the information that you would not really, you're not looking for that in the magazine or a book or something like that. You're looking out sometimes in the website, other websites, sometimes talking to individuals. You record that in the database, make it available selectively. It's not to everybody. Oh, sir, this is there, you can use it. No, selectively. That is where the value addition comes in. You would really look for the people who would want it. And there is a lot of money. In fact, in one of the libraries, Mudra in Ahmedabad, a person known to me, all that he did was scanned all the advertisements, that is black and white and other advertisement, into a database going back to 40, 50 years. And all the videos that were there, the kind of advertisements that were there in Doordarshan and things like that, put them together into a database. So today's ad engineer, somebody who is making ad films, would want that as to how things have changed. If it is left like that, it's of no value. Other people cannot discover it because there is a opportunity cost. If I get it right now, there is a value for that because I am saving time. I'm understanding what's going on and things like that. I'm understanding the techniques. So you are making an information product out of the way. You can actually sort of do, well, as I told you, faculty background check, that this age profile, there, all that is something that you can selectively build that would help your organization. Okay. If you're a management consulting firm, understanding how many patents they have, what is their turnover, what is their profit per employee, R&D expenditure, all this information is out there in the database. Only it has not been put to use, for instance, by you to make money. Okay. For this, you need to actually sort of incisively look into the database, what information is there. Why are we getting, for instance, why are we getting importing so much from China? Could we avoid XYZ? People may not quite know. I may bring out that information and use it to make an impression. Right, all that is possible. Okay. That information we are not looking at it. For instance, if we are working in an industry, so look in terms of what are the Twitter feeds. Who is writing about your industry? Is he biased about your particular company? See, that bias comes. You will have to, of course, be noticing that. What is the share value? What is the primary market segment? Who are they catering to? Are they catering to, like IITs cater to high end, like that? These companies could be catering to the low end. It is not necessary that, they are catering to the high end products themselves are catering to a certain market segment. All that information, if you can actually sort of look into it incisively, create a database, create a product, and not necessarily give it free. Take it to the knowledge of people who matter in that industry. Ask them whether they are really looking for something like that, and you have it. It's not how many copies are sold. That helps them, and it makes a difference. That's what it is. For instance, a colleague of mine runs, former colleague, I must say, business quiz. What is the difference? Business quiz is something that we can put together. What is done for that? He looks through magazines and newspapers. We have all the magazines and newspapers in the library. Somebody else has to come to the library to note that because he has to make an investment in terms of buying it. We have it because we are buying it for the users, but we can make the best use of that. Business quiz. And then what does it mean? In fact, it's monetized. It is, India Business Quiz is a website he runs. There is money in that. That is infopreneurship. Okay. Okay. So you can make the business out of the information through facilitating access to the information, facilitating understanding. Not everybody has the same understanding. You are a data journalist. So data journalist is looking at the data that is there with us. And data journalist understanding of economics or business could be as big or small as ours. So you can always make that happen. It is not that somebody else is more, what is that, specialized or something like that. If we invest time, we can make money out of that. Okay. They are facilitating preservation. Data that is preserved is also something. As I told you, an advertisement that was printed or a video that ran in Doordarshan 30 years back would have decayed. But then when you conserve that and make it available, it has a lot of money. It need not have thousands of, thousands of buyers, subscribers. Even half a dozen is good enough to make a lot of money because there is scarcity in that. And there's an opportunity cost at the other end. Okay. And even if you want to become an infopreneur, not that you have to do all the hard work yourself. You can be aggregator, putting them all together. You take information from different places and aggregate. You can be an organizer. You're organizing other people to work for you and you're marketing it. You can collaborate with others you can liberate, somebody is doing something and you say you can do that. And then part of it you would share, you can exchange. All these are possible. These are the things that are there done by others in a small way. We are the people with information, control on the information in a way, sources and otherwise. We must really sort of take this up. Data curation, it could be taxonomy creation, metadata restructuring, or in the AI-driven world, how to do it. This is something that we can, of course, teach, need not be necessarily AI engineer, because they are also doing the same thing. Learning curve is same for every one of us. We can monetize it. There is money in that. Okay. And specialized prompt engineering, today prompt engineering is not there because it is, the agentic AI has, of course, has taken it up in a way. Otherwise, prompt engineering was for us. We know how to search the database, but still that's important. Okay, things like custom GPTs, niche prompt libraries, and we can construct so appropriate information is retrieved from AI engines. Okay, this can come out of experience, and even the ones who are developing AI agents or RAG, they also can actually learn from us. You construct because we know how to extract data from the databases that others do not know. We know how to narrow it down. We have done it right from the days of the dialogue. Okay. And we can be independent as one person, solopreneur. We are doing it and then catering to one person, making money. That is also possible. Okay. Or auditing the algorithms, how you are extracting. It could be the ones who are already practicing. As I told you, somebody is running a quiz website for money. There could be better ways of doing that. You can, of course, collaborate, do anything. You can fact check. Okay, that is, you can fact check for a newspaper, you can fact check for a magazine, you can fact check for anybody who is really looking for that, or even as a competitive intelligence, you can fact check. Some information is available, and I'm telling him, well, this is authentic, it is not authentic, because I have got the information for that. There are so many examples of entrepreneurship. Forget about informatics. It's big. Forget about Ellipsis. He made, what is that, software happen. NISC, export services. Have any of you heard of NISC, export services in Hyderabad? Any of you know about that? What they do? All that they do is, they are not librarians.
Regard the scholarship, sir.
No. What they do is, they see libraries, they interface with the software companies, library software, one particular library software, data curation, library data, that is whatever that is actually come into the library software when through import process, they cross check through Library of Congress, this one and things like that, and straighten the data. That's one thing. Otherwise, they straighten the language structure of certain abstracting services. Those are independent, they are making money, and all that these people do is check the language, straighten this, and they're all taken from the public domain and do that. They make sufficient money. You can check, and they don't even actually call it as information service or anything like that. In fact, once in Hyderabad, when I conducted a workshop on entrepreneurship, they won't even come. They don't want to reveal that they're doing that. They want to hide it, preserve their customers to themselves. Okay. And there are so many other products like the smaller ones, bigger ones, and things like that. We could be one of those kind of things. We could be a successful entrepreneur. That's what it is. So what are the challenges? Market and competition is the challenge. There are one too many. You need to get the break in. That is marketing. Okay. Technology platforms are risky sometimes. Okay. Algorithms shift. You invest in something today, for instance, if any of you interested, school libraries, and not school libraries, schools, they need, many of the private schools, they need software, a package which has certain psychological tools like learning style. Learning style is not same for all children. There are 4 different learning styles. Creativity is different. Something else, there are so many. Attention deficit. There are psychological instruments that today's smart schools need to assess if they are smart, all the students, and monitor them. If my learning style is not visual, or if it is not reading related, then what how I would learn in the classroom is different from the other person whose learning style is visual and things like that. So that has to be brought to the notice of students, parents, and then also the teachers. So, but that understanding today has to come through administration of these tools and keeping the data, because these traits would not really remain the same over time. So this is something that we can always build in. Okay, I know I'm coming to 1 o'clock. So very quickly, other products are teaching and publishing. That is there, of course, database interaction, quizzes, curiosity information, and things like that are the products that we can make. Okay. What else? Competitive intelligence for small industries, technical writing, citation impact improvisers. There are so many of us who teach citation indexing, that this. How to improve? We don't know. There are, of course, ways of doing that. We need to, of course, be a consultant for the colleges for that, because they are looking for the this one. We can give research leads, economic information. There are lots of things that are possible. Okay. We have to understand the customers' habits, how they use the information, how to deliver, and things like that. There is no end to whatever information. Look, I've just taken out one screenshot of NDTV website. Lot of information on science and technology on the right-hand side. They are just digests that we create. This is a science, digest. Somebody, reads out the summary of a more recent paper from Nature or Science and things like that. We have access, and we have been doing all that. These are the science journalists for print, making this, vlog. Not that, well, you have to read it. You write the text, ask some pretty face to read it if it is required. But the product is yours. Okay. So we can do that, and then the teachers should really look in terms of creating an incubator, because incubators are there, and if your department has an incubator, that's a talking point in itself. Okay, and well, entrepreneurship has to be a course for teachers. I would tell you, I did recommend this for my university. I did recommend a syllabus also, and in this syllabus is idea generation. It's not that we expect people to do that. There is a way of generating the idea. There are many ways of doing that. And that has to be taught to the students, and it can be taught. I was teaching it myself under entrepreneurship in places that where I worked. How to what is it, business model? What is the opportunity analysis? How to do that? How to generate ideas through examples and through methods of how to be creative and things like that. That is something that has to come to the library teaching, and something that you can always use as practitioner librarians. That is entrepreneurship. I'm sorry, infopreneurship. So that's what I had to say. 1 o'clock, 1-3. Now,
Thank you, sir. Participant, any questions, please?
Would you become entrepreneur yourself? Would you support something like this?